welcome to the South Truckee Unified School District Board meeting of July 30th. The board did meet in closed session with one reportable action, which I will read. Tonight in closed session, the board took action to deny claim number 2025-26-01 by a vote of 4-0. At this point, will you all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Superintendent Kramer, are there any changes to the presented agenda?
We have one change, 16.1. Please remove first read, and it's an info action. So the item should say the Consolidated Application and Reporting Systems, and then info action. So you'll learn about it, and then we'll ask you to approve the CARS application.
So I think it was listed as just an info only? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
So would anyone care to make a motion to approve the adjusted and corrected agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as corrected.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. 7.0 is public comment. I did not receive any yellow public comments. Is there any public comment that wishes to speak at this point? Or any public that wishes to speak? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move to 8.0. Presentation. Superintendent Kramer?
Yes, I'm delighted to invite up a team of people that are going to give us a presentation about the new Truckee Library proposal. So we have the Executive Director of the Friends of the Truckee Library, April Cole, and we have Jason Toops, the Outreach Chair of the Measure G Committee. We have Kath Egan joining us tonight. So if you guys would like to come on up to the podium, thank you.
Perfect. There we go. All right. Thank you, everybody, for having us here tonight. Thank you so much for the introduction. I guess I could probably skip this next slide where I introduce everybody. For those of you I have not yet met, my name is April Cole. I'm the Executive Director for the Friends of the Truckee Library. But outside of my role with the library, I've actually been a parent representative for the ACMS Site Council for 6 years total, 3 years when my son attended ACMS, and the past 3 when my daughter attended. My son graduated Truckee High in 2024, and my daughter is now a rising freshman. So I also served with the Rotary Club of Truckee as their youth services chair for many years. And in that role, my primary responsibility was reviewing and honoring scholarship opportunities and leadership grants. So what I wanted to express there is that tonight I'm not just representing the Truckee Library. I am an active parent of TTUSD students. I am invested in this district and in this community, and I hope that's reflected in how I express myself here tonight. With me is Jason Toops. Jason is a volunteer with the Measure G Committee, and then online is Charles Heath. Charles Heath is the founding partner of Team Civex, a campaign strategist. I will go through the presentation tonight, and all of us will be available to answer questions. I find it best that you are able to answer questions from a subject matter expert. So all of us are here, and we hope to answer all of your questions in depth and accurately. So let's start with the key thing. We've outgrown our library. The current library was built in 1974 for a population of 2,000 people. The maximum occupancy is 54 people. It now serves a population of 20,000 people with 15,000 library card holders, and the maximum occupancy is 54 people. This is our teen section. It is 1 table and 4 chairs. That's it. The space is woefully inadequate to serve our youth. Our children's programs are regularly overfilled, and 75% of our physical checkouts are actually children's books. It is a very, very well used and loved space, but it is too small to continue to serve our community now and in the future. I want to touch on the alignment with TTUSD and the new Truckee Library. Let me do this. I'm really glad I have my glasses on. There's already a strong partnership in place with TTUSD and the Truckee Library. I'm not sure if everybody here is aware, but every single TTUSD student is issued a Truckee Library card. That is meant to give them access to literacy resources, enrichment programs, and tech-connected spaces outside of school hours. This supports the over 4,000 TTUSD students with the tools that they need to succeed, and it directly aligns with the TTUSD mission of literacy, equity, and access for all students. I want to talk about the need for equitable access to space. And this, I have charts, I have numbers, but really what I want to share with you is my personal experience and really why I'm here working on the new Truckee Library. And that has to do a lot with my volunteer engagement with Rotary and the interviews that I've conducted for these scholarship students. Most of our interviews are conducted online, so virtual interviews. And what I'm finding year after year are the number of students that are unable to successfully access a quiet space to be able to conduct an interview, a place with reliable internet, because of our housing crisis. Many of these students, it's not about being unhoused, but being underhoused. Multiple generations of families living in a single wide trailer, 2-bedroom apartments, where there's a strain on the internet access. And that limits these students from accessing these opportunities for scholarships, but that is just that one opportunity. This is a little sliver of insight of what all of our students are engaged with. And as we go into more technical learning opportunities, all of our students who have to access Google Classroom outside of school hours, how many of our students are able to reliably and consistently access that opportunity for learning outside of school hours? We can solve this issue with space. We need reliable internet, and we need a space where our students can get to. And that is what the new Truckee Library is offering for our community. I'm going to touch on regional collaboration. This project has always been rooted in collaboration. The Truckee Library JPA, or Joint Powers Authority, originally included the town of Truckee and Nevada County. Since our last presentation to this board, we're pleased to share with you that Placer County has now joined the JPA as a non-voting member. This is a key milestone because it allows us to more accurately represent the Truckee Library's service area, which includes all of Truckee, and it includes the areas of Placer listed on this map, which we can talk about later. But that is Donner Summit, Donner Lake, the town of Truckee, and then the Placer region of North Star and Martis Valleys. So this partnership also includes an MOU to continue conversations between county library systems around regional library service efficiencies. So the goal is to better support all public libraries in the Truckee-Tahoe region. Let's talk about where the project stands today. So some current exciting progress is that we hired the architecture team and we've completed the schematic design. Our architecture team includes 2 firms, a local firm, JKAE, and then a library specialist, Group 4. We have secured the site. It is just adjacent to Truckee Regional Park, right next to the farmers market. And then last year we completed significant community input on the design. This is really important to me to share because this library is not just being designed by 5 people in a room, assuming what the library needs are. Over the last year, we received over 4,000 respondents for our community design surveys. We had a library task force group that was made up of 20 plus organizations and groups, which also included our teen advisory group for the library. So it was actually students engaged in that design. We had representatives from TTUSD, both in the capacity of their staff, but also parents of children of all ages that were represented as we were looking at what the needs and the uses of this library would be. And then also we started to launch our private fundraising section of this project, and it was actually recently bolstered by a $1 million private donation. Well, that's pretty exciting. So what comes next? The work ahead looks like this. We'll be engaging with permitting, finalizing the architecture and engineering, and then fundraising. We really have to raise the funds to build this library. The fundraising is going to come from 3 buckets: private philanthropy, grants, and Measure G, which we'll speak to later in this presentation. Speaking of Measure G, I really want to take an opportunity to touch on Measure AA and the thoughtfulness of the timing for Measure G. Look at my notes. I just want to say, we know how critical and we care very much about Measure AA, me as a parent personally, but also as a Friends of the Truckee Library. When we talk about our mission to build a new library and to offer library services to our community, we understand that TTUSD relies on Measure AA in order to provide your library services at the district. So with that in mind, we extended the gap between the measures. We're looking to go in November 2025, which is to purposely, and was advised by our campaign experts. I have Charles Heath on here to ask any questions specific on that, in order to build that gap to ensure better success for both measures. Really designed to minimize overlap and confusion for our community. With that, moving forward together, this project was designed with the TTUSD community input and collaboration. We had students involved, educators, parents, staff, all in working on advising on how this library will be used now and in the future. We have deep alignment with district values and needs, and we're really excited for the opportunity to keep talking to you guys about how this works together. Next, I'd like to introduce Jason Toops from the Measure G committee. And he'll go there.
Awesome. Thank you, April. So April's been telling us about what the library will be and how and what it's why we need it. I'm here to talk about how we're gonna get it done. So to that end, next one. Sorry, this is appendix. I'm in the next. Oh, Lupita, can we switch over to mine? Thank you. We have 2 different presentations because for legal reasons we are a 501c3 and then bond committee, separate. I'm sure you've done this before if you know, if you've run a bond campaign. Okay, so as April mentioned, there's 3 sources of funding for the library. There's the bond, there's donors, and there's foundations/grants. You might be surprised to learn that actually the majority will come from donors and foundations. The bond is actually only funding less than a majority, around 40-ish% of the total cost. But we still need the bond. In fact, it's critical that we have the bond. Some people have asked us, well, if that's the case, why can't you just do all of it with donors and foundations? And the answer is, people won't just give us money for free. We as a community have to show that we want a new library by voting for it and putting up a little bit of money to pay for it. I wish people would give us money for free and build us a new library for free, but that's not how the real world works, unfortunately, and so that's why we have the bond. Having said that, we did try to design the bond to be as affordable as possible. So it's priced at 3 cents per square foot. The advantage of that is it's actually very small, but the disadvantage is that math is kind of hard to do. I was actually one of the people polled, and standing there in my kitchen trying to do the math, I was like, oh God, is that going to be $60 or $600, right, for an average 2,000 square foot home? And the answer is it's only 60. So we have this little table that we like to talk to voters about. So if your home is 1,000 square feet, that's $30 a year. If you did that monthly, that's $2.50 a month, which is less than a pack of gum in 2025. the average home in Truckee is about 2,000 square feet, so that's $60 per year for the average home. That's $5 a month, or less than an iced tea at Coffee Bar, which is actually $6 a month. And just to throw it up there, even a house that's 5,000 square feet is going to pay $150 a year. That's $12.50 a month, which is 40% cheaper than Netflix. So I just like to point that out to people who are concerned about the cost. So we designed the bond to be as affordable as possible while still helping us build the library, show that we have commitment from our community, and bring in those other donors. And the last thing is, how can anyone in this room help? How can each of you help? Please help us by supporting us and joining our grassroots campaign. Some stats about that: we now have over 600 individual endorsers, and I know some of the people in this room are on that list, so thank you if you are. Over 30 local nonprofits have endorsed, over 30 local businesses have endorsed, and we have had over 1,000 voter conversations. We've been at Music in the Park, Truckee Thursdays, a bunch of community events, talking to voters, just going up to every person we see. Over 95% of those people have said they'll vote yes. So we're very encouraged by what we're seeing in the community, and I hope each of you will endorse personally, and you can do so at votetruckeelibrary.com. With that, I'll hand it back to April, and we'll take questions.
All right, thank you. So we'll take questions. Lupita, if you have the opportunity, could you switch back to my deck? I put an appendix in here because I field a few questions here and there. And so I like to be prepared with some slides in case people find visuals to be helpful. So any questions?
Thank you for that very much. Board questions. We'll start with you. Oh, thanks, Kirsten.
I just have a quick question. I'm kind of having trouble visualizing the location of where you said it would be. You said next to the farmer's market, at the regional park, like.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a map for that. It's the first question I have. So this is easier for me. This is Brockway Road. You can be my Vanna White. Where Jason's hand is where the farmer's market is. So we're just west of it. So as if you were going towards Cottonwood. So if you're driving downtown's this way, you come in from town, 7-Eleven is on the right. You have a 3-way stoplight right now.
Yeah.
It's being proposed that we make that a 4-way stoplight. You would
Okay.
turn left into the parking lot and go to the new library site.
Oh, okay, where the disc golf is?
Yes.
Kind of currently? Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. And is that land that has been already purchased, or?
We have a lease agreement. So the land is owned by PUD, TDPUD, and they have made an agreement, a lease option for 50 years at $1 a year.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, so that would be really great information to have in your slide presentation.
Yeah.
Because that's extremely compelling, just based alone on the real estate prices here in this particular part of California. That's always a huge concern,
Absolutely.
is the actual, it's surprising that that isn't in your calculations as far as where the money needs to go, because that's a huge factor.
Absolutely. I think that's a really great piece of information, which I can add in there. I always try to keep it as high level and brief as possible, just because there's a lot of information. So I'll prioritize that in the cost analysis and what we've already secured so far. And I would like to just thank TDPUD, but also TDRPD. The
Great.
space, the lot that we originally had identified was just east of that on TDRPD land, so Rexham Park land, and they had offered us a similar lease. This is with partnership with the town of Truckee. It was also with collaboration with the Truckee Sanitary District. There was some lot line adjustments that needed to be done to clean up the lines. So there was extensive work done collaboratively between those agencies and the town of Truckee and the Friends of the Truckee Library to secure this site to be able to offer this service to the public.
And will there be free parking, or will you charge for parking?
There will be free parking. Very good question. And we net, how many is it? Net 43 parking spaces? Added. It's like 47, 48 additional, as you can see. These are conceptual drawings. When we go through permitting, there might be some shifts slightly, but this is what we've looked at. So there's parking there. It's expected to be shared parking, multi-use parking with TDRPD, with the park, but also them with us. The nice thing is the hours in which we expect kind of high flow between the park and high flow with the library, we should work to, it looks like we'll work together with that parking use.
And it's also really great to see that it's integrated within like sort of the new trail system
It's beautiful.
for like bike riders, skateboarders.
I wonder if I have, I don't think I actually have an image. The Legacy Trail, which, one, integrated for bike riders and such, but to me, the kids being able to ride their bike on the Legacy Trail.
Yeah.
To be able to access the library is a big piece. The Legacy Trail circles around and comes back down and under. That down and under space. There.
Yeah.
Beautiful views of the river, and we actually have views of the river from the community room at the library.
Oh, wow, that's really amazing.
The goal is to have it, the design is to have it integrate the feel of the park, have it feel like you're in Truckee. I think that a big public infrastructure like this should have a sense of place, to have a sense of who you are, and that was intentionally put into the design with that integration of the trail system. And the integration of the trail system was one of the things that the community identified as one of their top level priorities. Not in the top 3, but in the top 5.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, April. I don't have any questions. I'm fairly familiar with this project, but I do appreciate having the update to us as a board because I think the more we're getting out these presentations and the information, the more it's staying on the forefront of our community. I do want to recognize too that I feel like everyone in this room wears multiple hats, right? It's like we all have full-time jobs, we all do our other, part-time jobs and then our volunteer jobs. And it's for that reason that we have success in our community for projects like this to move forward, that without the passion, without the commitment and the volunteerism that goes with this and the hours and hours involved in that, Truckee would look a lot different and our region would look a lot different because there really is that synergy that happens. So I do appreciate having this updated presentation. I hope the community is paying attention. I think Kath's going to make sure that they pay attention. Yeah, and it's exciting. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
Just a point of clarification, so the Placer County North Star Martis voter, is that where the voting public stops for Placer County? Or is all of Placer County voting for this?
On this measure, those that will vote are only in the Truckee Library JPA. So those that will vote and be assessed. So it's not that if you're in that JPA region, so that North Star and Martis Valley and the Summit are the only Placer County areas.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, like, for me, one of the things that I love about Truckee is the trail system and just how it's always expanding. Like I'll go somewhere and my friends will, I don't live in Truckee, so I'll go somewhere and my friends will show up on their bikes. I'm like, oh, really? From there you got here? And then I go on bike rides with them and I'm getting to know it better. And so I think that's great for our students and young people that are here visiting, that they can just access the library without all the mass traffic that we experience, especially this time of year. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, good location. And for your landowner, that shows a lot of investment into their community. So I echo what Trustee LeVox said. If you get that word out, she's looking at it from a fiscal comment, but for me, it's like, wow, that's awesome. I mean, that's a great investment in their community. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I would love to introduce Kath Egan, who was there at the very beginning of the land securing the site. So, on instead of me. How are you?
Yeah, you noticed. Thank you very much, Kathleen Egan. I just wanted to emphasize that this collaboration that April talked about, it really was launched by the town of Truckee when there was a committee of local citizens, just as Danielle was talking about, getting together, what are we going to do about this library? And they looked at 10 possible sites, and they identified the regional park as being a really one of the best sites for all the reasons you mentioned, Chris. And so at that point, the town of Truckee, Tony Lashbrook was the town manager at the time, he said, we've got this corporation yard in the regional park that's sitting right in prime land for a regional park and used by the park. And we've got some extra space because we're moving our corporation yard over across the way. So we will offer to the Recreation and Park District the opportunity, if they choose to take it, to actually move their corporation yard at some point in the future when it's feasible for them and donate and identify 2 to 3 acres at Regional Park for that purpose. And that's really what launched this amazing collaboration between the PUD, the Rec and Park District, the town of Truckee, and Sanitary District, because they all own property. The regional park really sits on property they all own. So it's really, and I really want to emphasize that, that's a huge benefit to, it's not a cost that we're, as a community or donors, are going to be absorbing. That's really a gift from the town of Truckee, an offer of a gift from the town of Truckee.
Great example of collaboration.
Thank you for that, and a lot of great comments and a lot of good things that were brought up. I can only imagine the one table with 4 chairs for our youth. I have a couple questions. One, when I read your article, I was flipping through it as you were talking. The one thing that I did notice when we had our youth forum there, and it wasn't mentioned, and I'm sure it's somewhere, but for us, or for at least our take back from our children, that said that they wanted a space to hang out, not necessarily reference to the need for internet access, which is definitely one. And I mean, again, it's one of those, it's a selling point for and I get it, which is great. But I don't want to lose the fact that our youth had really said, we have to go somewhere else to hang out. So as much as it's going to be an emergency resource center, which is another good plug, but I definitely don't lose the thought that our kids did say they want a place to have of their own and not necessarily have to go to Reno or somewhere else. And then most importantly, I appreciate the timing, and Charles Heath has obviously been awesome with all of us on our bonds, that you are altering it and that we're not double dipping. But just a heads up on our Measure AA, it is just one element is the libraries, but Measure AA does a whole lot more than libraries, and we have staff that it supports. So as much as it is a piece, but Measure AA is far more important to us than a library. I mean, it's definitely more. So I just want to make sure that that's, again, you were very sensitive to it, and I appreciate that. But it's our lifelink, it's our pulse. So that I just want to make sure that gets put out there. Local architect, thank you for doing somebody local. And then in conversation, it's, I wrote in convo, it's only a goal. Obviously, we did get a couple public comments, or we did have a public comment in reference to some of the comments that we might have, or I know that I made in the previous meeting, in the sense that I'm very, very concerned. The Placer County areas, the Martis and the North Star, that's Placer, and if they don't, they come and vote on this side, and then when we need them, are they going to vote on our side? And so that was expressed. I will hold on to that, I don't like to move boundaries just for the benefit of what happens to be at the right time. We are fortunate in the sense that the library is we need it. So not going to argue that at all. But Chris mentioned it too. How did we get to that boundary? And is it just because it's the closest to that? That obviously is a chunk of change. And you all are well aware of the fact that we know that Martis and North Star are a chunk of change. And so that is just throwing it out there that we just want to make sure that it's not just in conversation, that the support regionally for the Kings Beach and the Tahoe City Library hopefully it becomes a goal as opposed to just a conversation.
Go ahead.
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The goal is regional collaboration for the library systems. Where we are right now is a formal MOU and a commitment to continue those conversations to see how that exactly moves forward.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of logistical pieces that need to be figured out, but that's what the commitment is, to sit at the table and figure out, how do we do this?
Yeah, because I think
What are
if
we
you look
doing?
at what Kathy was saying in terms of when we were here with Tony Lashbrook way back, your library in Truckee is exactly the same library situation in Kings Beach and in Tahoe City. And obviously, we believe libraries are an element that is important for education. We may not have the population or the number of people here in Tahoe Cities and the Lakeside as you will here. But just, I don't want to lose that. The community libraries are extremely valuable for those little communities, especially walking distance. Then I think that, okay, so then 42.9% of your money is just Measure G.
Yes.
So that's less than half. Okay, and then you said it's $3 per square foot is what you're saying?
3 cents.
3 cents per square foot. Okay, all right. That was all of my, library cards. Every student gets a library card from Placer County, correct? Not just Truckee, or is it just Truckee?
Every student.
Yeah, so.
Placer County and El Dorado County, wherever they are, regardless of resident
Okay,
status.
so you had just said that it's just that they get a Truckee
They,
card.
every TTUSD student, regardless of resident status,
Correct.
so wherever they're at, receives a Truckee library card.
As well as their one from
As well
Tahoe
as
City
their-
and Kings Beach.
Exactly,
Okay,
but that is a piece of that.
It was just like, because it's a Placer County, are we all Placer County Library?
No, we're actually,
Okay.
the Truckee
So
Library
you're
is the
gonna be in
Nevada County
So
Library.
okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. So they have a Placer County and a Nevada County. So again, collaboration. Okay. Any other comments to add on or anything like that? We good?
I do have one more question.
Yes, thank you.
And I think that at one point you educated me on this, but just for public record, can you please explain what Placer County no voting seat means?
Yeah, absolutely. So a piece of the, or did you want to answer that? Shoot, or were you directing it at Kath? A piece of bringing Placer County to the table is part of that understanding, what does it mean for Kings Beach libraries and Tahoe City libraries? And Town of Truckee and Nevada County have given a $500,000 contribution at the beginning in order to get our library, get us to the point where we had the funding. FOTL matched it $500,000, so $500,000, $500,000, $500,000 to get us to the architecture stage, so where we are now. In bringing in Placer County, and actually a piece of it was having this conversation here with you guys and understanding what we understood before, but really listening and looking at creative ways forward to move Placer County into this and create that regional collaboration without pulling any funds from a library budget that would have been for Kings Beach or Tahoe City. So finding some equity in the participation of the JPA. Placer County came in as a non-voting and non-contributing member. So that way they can be a part of the JPA in the meetings, part of the discussion, but without pulling any funding from their library systems elsewhere. So it was a creative approach to finding regionalism in the place where we are now, and so that's the reason for that. Yeah.
You, Ms. Superintendent Kramer? No, okay. That sounds awesome. So at this point, I think this is just an info, correct? And is there any public that would like to make public comment on this item? Okay. Well, that was great. Thank you very much for coming in. It was perfect timing with our article in the paper. And then, the only thing I didn't, actually, the one thing I meant to ask you, that when you say it's an emergency resource center, that wasn't anything in there was nothing in here as to where and how that would be part of your selling pitch.
That's great. So that's an editorial piece. I would love to say that I wrote that, but I didn't have the chance to write that. Here's a conceptual image of how the library will serve as an emergency resource center. When we were going through our community input and our stakeholder meetings, one of the key questions we were asking are, if we're building infrastructure like this, how are we filling gaps that are within the community? Is there another way that this could serve our community? Are there other needs that this makes sense? And speaking to the Truckee Office of Emergency Services and the Tahoe Truckee COAD, community organizations active in disaster. Their key priority was being able to have a space with backup power. So backup power plus HVAC, so heating, cooling, air filtration, particularly for smoky days. Because as you know, Truckee is vulnerable to public power outages, both emergency outages and planned preventative power outages. When the power goes out, we currently have what's called a community resource center. So at the Community Arts Center downtown, TTUSD has an agreement with TDRPD. Feel free to let me know if you want me to say them all out loud. I try and save a few letters here. Has an agreement to bring in a backup power generator to turn on the Community Arts Center to be a backup power space where people can plug in phones and get information. The issue is it's a backup power generator. It's vulnerable to being needed elsewhere if there's a higher priority emergency. The space is not fully ADA accessible. It only offers power, so heating, cooling, air filtration are all things that we do not have access to as we get more and more frequent power outages. So Truckee needs a space where we can go to. The new Truckee Library was designed with a 300-person capacity meeting room, multi-purpose room. That room was identified to be used for arts and culture, for business programming, for more library programming, for being study space. But one of the key pieces with having a room of that size is to be able to have it with permanent backup power, which also works for the HVAC system so that we could utilize it as Truckee's emergency resource center.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
would be a great, so that would enable you to probably get more grants and fundraising by using that terminology.
We,
that's-
we will absolutely be applying for grants as an emergency
Yeah.
resource center. One of the keys with the bond measure is we are able to unlock grant opportunities when we get to the point of it being shovel ready. So it's a really challenging way of moving forward where you have to be far enough forward in order to be able to access those grant opportunities. So that's a key part of us being able to set ourselves up to apply for those
Sorry.
grants.
Todd, can I ask a question of you? What are our schools considered emergency resource centers?
They are designated oftentimes as emergency centers, but we're not equipped to handle some of the things that that you're talking about. As far as backup power, we don't have generators at most of our sites. We have some small generators that just provide ancillary emergency lighting, maybe a few outlets. So the goal, one of the goals of the district too, is eventually maybe have
Well, we're going to tag
backup
on to that, whatever
generation.
grant that they
Yeah.
write. That's why I'm asking, if we're not there, is there another way to, I'm just looping in, but, connective, but I know that we are, like, I know you can use Ride Out for first aid, if, Red Cross or something like that, but
Yeah.
to go to this level, we have to do something different.
Right. To be able to run our HVAC systems, we would need a much higher power generator, something
Gotcha.
that's not portable.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right, well, we have taken up a lot of your valuable time. We appreciate all of you coming in and giving us this update. It should be exciting, long time coming. Yeah, thank you very much. That was really good. Wow, and then 8.2, Superintendent Kramer is another presentation.
Well, seeing that we have guests here, I was wondering if we could change an order. We
Oh.
have Excellence in Education Foundation leadership here to talk to us about the Spring 2025 grant. So I wondered if you'd be okay with skipping to 10.1 and then swinging back for Dr. Cohen's presentation and my update. And of course, then they're welcome to stay, but then we're not obligating them.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I
okay,
was thinking that
great.
they were part of it. I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. And then, okay, not to worry, you guys
So I'd
come
love
on
to
up. So we will
invite
make an
up
adjustment.
our Executive Director of the foundation, Anna Yarborough.
Hi, thank you. Is this working? Yes. The light's on? Yes. Okay. So as Superintendent Kramer said, my name is Anna Yarborough, and I'm the new Executive Director at the Tahoe Truckee Excellence in Education Foundation. Thank you. I've been in education for over 20 years, and I have never seen a foundation that supports teachers, classrooms and schools the way that our foundation supports TTUSD students. I'm so excited to be a part of this foundation and continue the incredible support as provided to TTUSD schools over the past 39 years. And tonight's one of the really fun things. I'm here with Julie Hopkins to present the check for the grant request submitted to our foundation in the spring as part of our annual grant cycle. I want to tell you a little bit about our grant cycle, just quick review. Teachers apply to our grant cycle for materials that enhance learning, strengthen student learning experiences. These grants fund resources that support teaching and enable our incredible TTUSD teachers to do even more in the classroom. Teachers submit their requests, and the school site principals review and approve the requests. The teacher then presents their requests at the school site council meeting, and the school site council prioritizes and ranks the grants. We don't always fund the grants based on the rankings, but they provide really valuable information for us and let our committee understand and know the school's priorities. Finally, our grant committee spends hours reviewing and discussing the grants before the recommendations come to our full board for approval in June. The teachers are then informed at the end of the year, and the funding is released now so that teachers can implement their grants for the new school year. Before we do the presentation of the check for this year, I want to hand it over to Julie Hopkins, who is our grant committee chair, to share some of the highlights and trends that we have seen over the past years.
Thank you. Again, my name is Julie Hopkins, and I serve as the Grant Committee Chair for Excellence in Education. This year, we received 60 grant requests asking for nearly $190,000 in funding. Of those, 53 aligned with our current grant criteria, and I'm proud to share that we are able to fund just over $155,000 in grants this year. And this is thanks to you guys, not so much to us. You guys bring the most amazing ideas to us, so we're always honored to provide this money and funding. Some notable trends this year in our grant cycle included $34,000 in requests for books and other literacy tools, directly and indirectly supporting student reading and language development. $15,500 to support social emotional learning. We've been seeing this over the years, especially since COVID. The social emotional numbers keep going up, which we're always happy to fund because they're great ideas. These tools in particular were for regulation and communication is what we saw this year. $13,500 will replenish the band instruments for the Truckee High School Band. And thank you to TTUSD for also helping us fund that. You guys were partners for us in co-funding that. We also observed an exciting increase in outdoor learning grants this year. Unfortunately, they all didn't fit into our current criteria. Something that we will be reviewing this fall to see if we can make some more of those fit into our criteria. But we were definitely honored to fund a whole lot of snowshoes this year. That was very exciting. There is definitely an obvious need for especially at the elementary school level, for these students to be experiencing the outdoors that Tahoe and Truckee offer. And it didn't even occur to me, but there are some students who don't have that opportunity within their family situations to experience some of these things. And so it was really cool to see these teachers wanting to get these kids to experience what some of us take for granted. Some fun and unique grants this year that we funded, and these are always my favorite. These are like the true icing, and I think that the committee gets really excited about these grants. Was a CNC router machine for the Gone Boarding class at Truckee High School. That one was really exciting. I wasn't sure that there was going to be an appetite for that, but everyone was just over the moon about it, so I was very excited to see that. Another one is the Birds of Prey experience at Kings Beach Elementary. I think I want to show up that day myself. They're going to be bringing real live raptors to visit the classroom and bring science to life for these kids. I just think every school should be experiencing that. That one really excited me. We also saw several grants that are building on the success of prior year grants, which really got me excited too, because sometimes we fund these grants and we don't know what happened after that. So it was really cool to see that some teachers are wanting to continue their work with their podcasting. So there was additional equipment asked for this year, and also $5,000 for a DNA sequencer at North Tahoe High School, which continues the students' research on local plant life that they're going to be able to sequence the DNA of and contribute to a study out of New Mexico, which is just amazing. You might remember in the past that we funded another piece of equipment, which probably is way over my head, but that those students were able to be in a published study. So that was just so exciting. It's a great, great opportunity. And I'll give it back to Anna.
And we did include in the board material just a summary of each of the grants that we funded, so you can see that, as well as notes at the bottom for grants we were unfortunately unable to fund, but with little notes as to why they did not meet our criteria. And as Julie said, we as a committee and an organization revisit those criteria and try to understand, how we can best support TTUSD. So Julie already shared some of the numbers, but today we are presenting and asking you to accept a contribution of $146,444.06 to support TTUSD grants. And then I also have a separate check that we will issue to CELS representing 7 additional grants for $9,204, which, as Julie said, brings our total to $155,648.06. And we really want to thank all our incredible TTUSD teachers for bringing all these great opportunities to our students and opportunities to us to support our schools and our communities. So here's our big, should we stand up here? We have to get the photo out.
Thank you so much, Excellence in Ed, and we're going to move on to 8.2. Anna Marie, you have 10 seconds today.
I am excited to turn it over to Dr. Anna Marie Cohen, our Executive Director of Student Services.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Good evening, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, Board of Trustees, and community. Tonight I'm presenting to the TTUSD Board of Trustees an update on student attendance. The presentation, Empowering Student Success Through Improved Attendance, focuses on a year in review and comparison to the 23-24 school year. Today's agenda covers our attendance efforts, including an introduction, chronic absenteeism impact, district attendance trends and data, and our next steps. Our approach to attendance is built on a strong TTUSD and school status partnership. This partnership leverages several key strategies to support student presence in school, with a core component being our data monitoring platform. This allows us to track attendance metrics effectively. We utilize this platform on a daily and weekly basis to guide our attendance intervention processes. We prioritize parent-student education through conferencing reminders, truancy letters, and the platform offers interactive absence intervention and conference reports. School status and the California dashboard are very different. And it's important for us to understand the differences between chronic absenteeism rates reported by school status attend and why they differ from the California school dashboard. There are 5 key reasons for the disparity. School status attend includes all active students regardless of enrollment days, calculates attendance on a day equivalent basis, and includes preschool, transitional kindergarten students. The state, however, includes active and inactive students, only those enrolled over 30 days. It calculates based on all-day absences and actually only focuses on K-8. Attendance challenges fall into 2 categories, those outside of our control, for example, cold and flu season, political turmoil, such as what we saw this year, and in our area, snow days. What we can control is the second category, and we can improve attendance by refining our process and priorities, enhancing communication. That would be our postcards, our texts, our emails, and our newsletters that we send out, and help us foster a culture of showing up. This slide visually demonstrates the significant long-term impacts of missing school, even seemingly small amounts of time. I presented this slide last year as just, and keep it in here as a reminder to help support and educate our community on the impacts of even missing short amounts of time of school. If a student misses 1 day per month, that's 10 days per year or 2 weeks of school. Over a period of 13 years, this means a full 3/4 of 1 school year is lost. Being late by 30 minutes per day results in half a day per week or 3 weeks per year, ultimately leading to 1 year of school missed over 13 years of school. These figures powerfully illustrate that every minute and every day matters, emphasizing the need for consistent attendance to support student learning and success. This table shows our attendance rates for the 24-25 school year, 23-24, and 22-23 school years. As of June 18th, 2025, with 180 instructional days and 3,742 students, we had 41,331 absences, which averaged 11 days per student. Our attendance rate is 93.6%. This is a positive trend compared to 93% in 23-24 and 90.8% in 22-23. By grade group, preschool through 3rd has the highest attendance at 95.2%, followed by 4th through 6th at 94.7%. Grades 7 through 12 are at 92.8%, and 9 through 12 are at 92.3%. Younger students generally have higher attendance, although actually our TK student group does have an impact and lowers this for our preschool through 3rd graders. This slide details attendance rates and their year-over-year change by individual school site. It allows us to hone in on individual schools and tailor interventions to particular age groups and schools. The district's overall attendance increased from 93.4%, 04% in 23-24 to 93.61% in 24-25. This is a 0.61% change. Most schools show positive change. Sierra Continuation High School had the largest at 4.96%. They changed from 72.18% to 75.76%. Truckee High increased by 1.79%. And while the district is improving, school-level variations do need individualized attention, and we're able to see that here in our data.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Will you go back to the other slide that was just up? What is the 41 on total number of absences in the top row? We had 41, and then in 24, 25, does that say mid-year?
Mid-year.
Okay, thank you. Because I was like, wait,
Yes.
what? I didn't catch that. Thank you.
Yes, so we do a mid-year update.
Yep.
Actually, we do it 3 times a year.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. I apologize. Got carried away there.
It's okay. This chart compares monthly absence rates year over year for 24-25 and 23-24 through June 18th. Early in the 24-25 school year, August through October, absence rates were lower than in the 23-24 school year. December 2023 actually saw a significant peak in absences, higher than December of 2024. Overall, the 24-25 school year, which is the blue line, shows generally lower or comparable absence rates, indicating improvement. Rates do fluctuate, peaking in late fall, early winter, and the next slide details peak absence days. This chart, it is all of the months of the school year, and it is hard to read them. I apologize for that. This helps us identify very specific days, those days in red, in which we can do some very targeted interventions. This color system uses green, which indicates well below average, less than 228 daily absences. Yellow indicates average daily absences, which is 266. And red indicates well above, more than 304 daily absences. We can clearly see periods with higher absences marked in yellow and red. For example, in October, there were several red days at the end of the month, indicating higher than average absences. Similarly, in February 2025 shows many red days, suggesting a challenging month for attendance. If you recall, there were several things that happened in February of this year. We had political turmoil that was occurring at that time. We also, winter happened this year. So that made a difference. The stoplight system allows us to quickly identify periods of high absenteeism and potentially correlate them with factors like flu season, holidays, and other district events. This table shows year-over-year attendance codes usage, so it's something for us to pay attention to as well. Or excused absences slightly decreased from 23-24 to 24-25. Or ill absences remained the highest. And or unexcused absences improved significantly, dropping from 2,953 students missing 16,446 days in 23-24 to 2,970 students missing 14,266 days in 24-25. Overall, total days missed decreased from 50,865 in 23-24 to 47,892 in 24-25, indicating improved absence management despite a slightly lower student count. This slide represents the district attendance summary year-to-date through the end of June. We had 50.3% of our students had an excellent or satisfactory attendance this year, while 49.7% have missed over 9 days. This data helps us identify attendance challenges and target interventions to decrease absences. We place a lot of our emphasis on that manageable group because that is the group where we can intervene early and move them into satisfactory.
107. So that says 107 that are severe.
Yes.
That's a lot.
This bar chart, total absence summary year over year, compares 23-24, which is dark blue, and 24-25, which is light blue school years. We've seen an increase in excellent and a slight increase in satisfactory attendance. Most importantly, chronic absence, which is 10% or more school days missed, significantly decreased from 19% to 16.3%. This positive trend indicates fewer students are chronically absent, with more moving into excellent and satisfactory attendance groups. This slide highlights that attendance challenges are not evenly distributed across all student populations, emphasizing the need for targeted equity-focused interventions. The data is broken down by student attendance into excellent, satisfactory, manageable, and chronic and severe categories by ethnic group. Hispanic students show a higher chronic and severe rate at 23.48% and lower excellent attendance at 0.074% compared to the overall average, which is 16.3% of chronic and severe combined. With this, it highlights that attendance challenges are not evenly distributed and emphasizing the need for targeted and equity-focused interventions. This slide indicates that our efforts to reduce chronic absenteeism are broadly impacting various ethnic groups through positively, though the disparities do exist. This bar chart shows that chronic rates change year over year. We compared 23-24, which is light blue, and 24-25, which is dark blue. And this is a comparison of chronic rates by ethnic group. The good news is that most ethnic groups saw a decrease in chronic rates in 24-25 compared to 23-24. White students' chronic rates decreased from 15.13% to 12.047%, and Hispanic student rates decreased from 25.5% to 23.48%. This indicates that our efforts to reduce chronic absenteeism are positively impacting various ethnic groups. The disparities do still exist, and there is still quite a bit of work to be done. This slide presents an equity view of attendance for 180 instructional days, and is categorized by student groups. As you can see, we have total students, English language learners, free and reduced lunch, homeless, and special education. Homeless students in particular have the highest chronic absentee rate at 28.57%. This is actually consistent, although we are lower than the state. Significantly above, and this group is significantly above the overall student average of 16.3%. The data highlights the need for targeted support for these vulnerable populations. This slide represents an equity view of severe chronic students who's missing greater than 20% of their instructional days. That was the 107 students that you just referred to. These students are severely chronically absent, and we have broken it out by ethnicity. Hispanic students comprise of 61% of this group, despite being a smaller portion of the overall student population, while the white students make up 34%. Other ethnicities are only 1% to 2% of our total student population. And it highlights a significant equity issue, indicating that we need to have a focus on our Hispanic students who are disproportionately affected. And it is crucial for us to develop targeted interventions for this student group. A big part of our partnership includes parent communication, student and parent and family engagement, and education efforts. Our parent communication efforts focus on informing parents about attendance importance. We've sent 9,524 communications over this last year. We sent truancy, excessive excused absence. We held 51 conferences, and we sent 4,489 email notifications. Our 60% district save rate shows that early interventions prevent further absences for a significant portion of our students. We also sent 24,942 positive communication notifications to reinforce good attendance, and we included attendance education highlights in all of our newsletters. Data from 63 students over the 180 days shows 40.4% 6.5% improvement rate, with absences significantly lower in the 6 weeks post-conference compared to the 6 weeks prior. This is important because these are the face-to-face, one-on-one meetings that we have with our families at the school sites, and they prove to be the most significant impact in decreasing further absences. And what's coming this year? So there are improvements with our partnership. We will be including two-way texting translation, so we'll have more flexibility with our communications with our families. There are conference enhancements that will make it easier for our staff, particularly our assistant principals who hold many of these conferences, in tracking and monitoring and documenting the communications they're having with families. We will also have an early warning indicator for our chronic students, so being able to catch them earlier and communicate sooner and often. And are there any questions or comments? Thank you for allowing me to present an update.
That was very lovely and very informative. Thank you very much. Kirsten Levac, any questions? No, ma'am. Danielle? Oh, yes.
No questions, but I do love seeing the improvement. And I do think that the letters are effective because I've had multiple parents tell me, oh, I didn't realize how many days we missed until I got that notification. Even though they know they're missing some days because they're sick or, something happened, I think that that's a visual for them where they get it in the mail and they're like, oh, it's serious. It's like you get, your IRS bill or something. So I think that's good feedback.
I do agree with that. That screen's gnarly. Like when you say you're missing 10 minutes and then it's a year by the end of the 4 years, don't tell my kids that. Trustee Hennessy.
Okay, so that was a really good presentation, but I don't know how to feel. Like, we have so much improvement, but yet it's like attendance is still a struggle. So I don't know how to feel other than I'm happy to see in the report that we're improving in most areas. There was a slide, maybe 5 slides back from the end. It said something safe date or save date, district.
At the bottom.
A little more.
Right there, save
Right
rate.
there, 60% district.
Look at the bottom.
Save rate. I would look at the bottom, but I don't have my
Let me read the
glasses.
bottom to you.
So that just means that once we had initial communications, conversations, interactions, conferences, the student did not accrue and continue to accrue more absences.
Oh, that's
So that's what we refer to as the save rate. So they began to decrease and they didn't move into that chronic and maybe even move from manageable into satisfactory.
So that's positive too.
Yes.
Okay, and then one last question I have is, when we collect data like this, do we tap into students at all, especially say middle school and up, about their perspective of why they're late? Because I know that, snow and smoke and all the other things that were listed on there, right? I don't know how to ask my question or how to articulate my question. I'm just wondering, are there, because I think you said up to 3rd grade, that was the most positive category of student attendance, right? So then, they hit 10 years old, you can't throw them in the car seat and take them to school, right? It's really difficult to do. So I'm just wondering, like a 9th grader, do we know maybe why they choose not to come to school or to be truant? Like, do we know if it's just, I'm partying or I'm being bullied or I just don't care about school? And the reason that I'm asking this is shortly after COVID, and I'm looking at Trustee Levac, we were hopeful in just side conversations that the state, the county, that there would be some shift in education, right? Because we know that kids learned very differently, and a lot of them excelled in how they were learning or enjoyed how they were learning, and that they were on a screen for a half an hour and got an hour and 10 minutes worth of work done, right? So a high schooler is going to be hard to get them to sit for an hour when they could just do it in a half an hour at the lake or at home. So I'm just wondering, have we ever tapped into this discussion with our students?
No, I think what you're asking is, yeah. No, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically, have we done an attendance survey of our student body to determine reasons for either truancy or absenteeism in general? We have not, but I have it on my list. This would be something that we can definitely put together. I do have, and I can compile data based on our severe chronic students who have been referred to SARB. Because those students we do have conversations with, we get down into the root causes for the attendance problems, and we do hear from the students themselves. So that is a student body that I could aggregate data based on what they have told us.
Sure.
But I think an attendance survey would be great. This is the completion of our second full year. And so it would be a really good time to do that kind of survey.
So actually, can I
yeah.
just interrupt
Yeah.
really quick? Because surveys are very valuable. Qualitative data collection is super important. I will just say, just from where I'm sitting, it's exhaustion. And I've said this hundreds of times. And, the adolescent mind has a really hard time going to sleep anytime earlier than like 10 or 11, just because of all the activity that's happening in the prefrontal cortex. It's not all because of screens or whatever. It's just the way the adolescent brain is designed. And schools are not designed with that science in mind. So we're wondering, why are we having so many truancies? It's because kids can't get out of bed. It's not because they don't want to come to school. It's just that they're exhausted. And I hear it over and over and over again. Why do we have to go to school so early? It's so unfair. I'm waiting for the bus in the dark, in the snow. It's almost a form of cruelty. I don't understand why we can't be more flexible as an, remote rural school district to respond to the social, emotional, and physical needs of our students. For the younger ones, obviously, they don't start school until 9 o'clock. It really makes perfect sense. They can sleep in until 8, or even, 8:15 for the lucky ones. Our high school students, especially if they're in jazz band, have to get up at like 5:15. So, I think it's a very critical conversation to have, and it's not just about, data sets and focus groups and interviews. The kids who make it to SARB are the extreme.
Yes.
The absolute extreme. I used to sit on the SARB panel, I'm very aware. That's a whole different cohort. But it's just your regular general population kids who fall asleep at like 11:30, maybe 12 if they're lucky, and they have to get up in 5 or 6 hours, right? I think that's just something to think about. Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you for expanding that, and that is exactly what I'm asking, is I would like, the student voice piece at some point, and obviously I would trust your expertise as to how and when to collect that data, right? I'm not saying, hey, by tomorrow, I want to know why kids feel like they don't want to show up at school. So I'm being realistic in my timing, but I think it would be really powerful, and then that might come up, what you're talking about, because it's come up before, so that might very well come up again. But I would like to hear the student piece, and, as far as like, if you're a child of one stay-at-home parent, then yeah, you might have the luxury to sleep in, but I know of plenty of families who have to drop their kids off somewhere before school is even open so they can get to work, and that's a whole other, it's unfortunate, right? This is an onion with many, many layers, as we say in my house, and, yeah, but I just think it would be interesting to hear from the students themselves, and I very much agree with what you're saying, the SARB students. I would love to see that. However, it is a very different cohort than what I'm thinking of, like your average, everyday student that just feels like they just can't be bothered, or what is happening for them that maybe we can help address through the Wellness Center or through the Boys and Girls Club or something. Thank you.
Thank you.
But good presentation.
We have to do something. Yeah. Don't leave. We have to do something we didn't do. Thank you very much. I have no comments except to echo what you said, but thank you very much for that info-only presentation. And the reason I said that is because on grant, acceptance of grant was an action item, and we failed to accept that. So let's go back. We don't want your money. We're going to say we didn't bother. Thank goodness for Lupita. At this point, I'm going to make a motion to accept the Excellence in Education grant for Tahoe Truckee Unified as well as cells. Do I have to accept cells? No, just a Tahoe Truckee Unified. Just my 14644406. Yes, perfect. Check for our spring 2025 grants. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lupita. Thanks. Okay, so now we're going to move to 9.1, which I think is Superintendent Chief Learning Officer's update.
It is. Thank you, President Driller. So tonight, I'm very excited to share with you our Year 3 actions for the district's strategic plan, but I'm going to start with reviewing the power of having this plan and how it helps us build our future together. So over 2 years ago now, this plan was built from the ground up. It incorporated invaluable input from over 800 community surveys, in-person and virtual focus groups, and 105 pages of student insights. So it really reflects our community's values and aspirations for our schools. You'll notice the compass.
Yes, I did notice these.
So the compass is showing how the strategic plan provides a clear, consistent direction for all of our efforts. We know we have a diverse school district with unique schools, which we love, but by having this clear direction from classrooms to community partnerships, it just ensures that we're all going in the same direction. The strategic plan allows us to focus our priorities. We can intentionally concentrate our resources and energy on what matters most. And we know those 3 areas are academic achievement, support systems, and community connections. And then the plan provides a framework for measuring our progress, ensuring accountability and transparency. So as you know, I like to update at every board meeting and every district newsletter how we're doing on this plan to make sure that we're accountable to our community who gave such valuable input in this process. So our strategic plan is not just theoretical. We take the vision and the aspirations and translate those into specific implementable actions each year. And we do that to ensure our collective efforts lead to real improvements for both our students and our staff. By doing yearly actions and checking in, the plan can be very responsive and adaptable. So as you know, we've updated actions mid-year and continue to get feedback, and that ensures that we're flexible and really meeting the needs of our students and the community. And by establishing clear benchmarks and celebrating the progress across all those areas, it really cultivates a district-wide culture of continuous improvement and a deep dedication to excellence. So strategic plan fuels student success and district growth. So here's our compass. So compass has the 4 directions. We have the academic achievement, our true north. We have support systems, community connections, and then that foundational statement of our goal to engage and empower students, educators, and staff to achieve their potential. So again, it helps unify us, make sure we're all pulling in the same direction. And so I'll share with you the Year 3 actions, And they're really the critical next steps in fulfilling that promise of engaging, empowering students, educators, and staff to achieve their potential. So just to refresh everyone, the top row there, the academic achievement, is the strategic focus area. And then that next row down are the priorities. Those stay consistent as well year after year. So there's 3 for academic achievement. And then that last row, the larger one on the bottom, the light blue, those are the actions specific to this school year. So our plan's focus in academic achievement is brought to life through targeted year 3 actions that ensure high-quality instruction, support our dedicated staff, and expand opportunities for all of our students. So priority 1.1 is on the left. It shows we're committed to providing meaningful and effective curriculum that supports individual student achievement. So in action for this year, for year 25-26, we're going to continue our fidelity of our new math curriculum, and we're going to layer in and enhance that with updated universal screeners and diagnostic assessments. This ensures we can precisely tailor instruction and provide equitable outcomes for every student. Also in action for this year, our dedication extends and continues with our English learners through ongoing professional development. We're empowering our teachers with evidence-based strategies so that we can significantly increase the English learners' achievement. So priority 1.2 is the middle column. This priority recognizes that our educators and staff are critical to student success. This priority focuses on their growth as a professional and retaining them in our district. So in action for this school year, we're looking to refine our feedback processes by creating a committee to explore certificated and classified evaluation tools. This demonstrates the district's commitment to supporting professional development and growth for all of our staff. Also in action this year, we acknowledge the significant challenge of the high cost of living in our region. So the district is actively involved in and supporting the Truckee Tahoe Workforce Housing Agency's Alder Creek Workforce Housing Project. And that is so important because it will help us attract and retain our amazing staff. So the third column, our third priority for academic achievement, we believe in offering all students opportunities to explore their academic and personal interests and prepare them for diverse pathways. So in action for this year, we're going to utilize the Workability Program to provide essential life skills training in our high school classrooms, and then be able to place our special education students in meaningful work-based learning and internships based on their individual learning plans. So support systems. This area is committed to ensuring that we holistically address the needs of our learners, educators, and staff through enhanced wellness, effective environments, and sustainable resources. So priority 2.1, again, is on the left. This priority is dedicated to promoting student success by addressing academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs through a robust MTSS framework. So making sure we have tiered levels of support for students. So in action for this year, we're piloting new social emotional learning curriculum with the hope and the goal of implementing it district-wide. And then we have dedicated social emotional learning committees, both at the district level and school site level. And they are going to support the implementation of the universal screener that was selected last year through this committee work and feedback from staff. Also in action this year, to foster consistency in disciplinary practices and support student behavior, we're piloting a behavior alert platform, which includes teacher notifications and monitoring suspension rates. So the middle column there, 2.2, this priority focuses on empowering students by increasing their engagement and encouraging individual responsibility as a core part of their educational experience. So for this year, what's going to be in action is we're going to continue to ensure student perspectives are heard and valued, and we're going to maintain the Student Advisory Committee representatives as a part of the Parent Superintendent Advisory Committee. It's been very powerful to have their voices and their input on the issues that are coming up in that committee. And then priority 3 on the far right. This priority is committed to the continuous development of our district's infrastructure, facilities, and human capital, ensuring fiscal sustainability and also supporting effective and equitable learning outcomes. So what's going to be in action this year is we're continuing to actively assess facility needs, including deferred maintenance, safety, and priority projects, while we seek additional funding opportunities to be able to address those needs. Also in action for this year is ensuring the long-range fiscal health. We're going to refine our budget development process and to identify and incorporate educational service budget goals. As we know, we heard from Mr. Rivera in our budget update last month that the curriculum costs have continued to increase, and we have amazing supports for our students, but our lottery fund no longer supports that fully. So we're going to work collaboratively as a team to have a good budget development process and be able to address that. And then the third item that's going to be in inaction this year is our commitment to safety. We're continuing to work on updating our emergency operations plan, and in just a few weeks, our district administration and key staff are going to have training on the new operations plan. And then we're also developing a local hazard mitigation plan that opens opportunities for FEMA and emergency funding. So in community connections, this focus area prioritizes belonging, enhances outreach, and expands vital partnerships within the Tahoe Truckee region. So priority 3.1 on the left is our commitment to providing an educational experience that fosters acceptance, inclusion, and equitable outcomes to increase a sense of belonging for all students, families, educators, and staff. So in action for this year, we're going to continue to implement targeted activities as identified by parents to further increase belonging and inclusion across the district. Thank you, Trustee Levac. We'll see you next time. In the middle one there, priority 3.2, this priority focuses on enhancing outreach and resources for TTUSD individuals with the highest needs, those from underrepresented groups and at critical transition points. So for this school year, we're going to review the comprehensive needs assessment from Hanover that was conducted in the spring that focused on the transition from 5th to 6th grade. We've got great information and we're very excited about diving into that. Also in action this year, we're working to expand and deepen the district-wide implementation of the Community Engagement Initiative, also known as CEI, to prioritize broader employee participation. And what we're really looking to do is collaborate and create that two-way communication with our families and build family capacity. So priority 3.3 on the far right, that aims to expand community partnerships to support student learning and create more opportunities for community-based educational experiences, immersion in our natural environment, internships, and outdoor education. And I just want to say it's so neat to hear the impact of the district strategic plan already on our teachers and that they are writing grants to Excellence in Ed to participate in this. That's very exciting to hear. So for us as a district, our action this year is implementing and evaluating the prototype programs that are being driven by the draft Outdoor Education Environmental Literacy Framework. And what's important this year is there's been a lot of work on this framework, but now we're going to take it out to the school sites and get staff and teacher feedback on what's possible with outdoor education, what's sustainable, and then we'll refine things and then scale up things that are successful. So as you've seen today, the strategic plan really provides the roadmap, and our year 3 actions are the tangible steps that we're taking. And the progress is a direct result of the continuous engagement and collaboration of our entire TTUSD community, the students, families, educators, staff, and our community partners. And our mission to engage and empower students, educators, and staff to achieve their potential is our ongoing journey. and we see where it results for our kiddos there in the picture. So the plan is really designed for continuous learning, adaptation, and improvement as we move forward. So I'm very excited about the positive impacts that these actions are going to have this year, and I'm committed to transparency, as you know, in sharing our progress. And your support and ongoing feedback is invaluable as we work together, because we really are shaping the future of TTUSD together. So thank you very much for letting me share that update, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. That was a lot of great things. Any comments?
No questions, just a very thorough presentation.
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, thank you for that. Well done, well done. Okay, so now we are going to juggle back down to grant 10.2. Thanks, Superintendent Kramer.
And for this item, we're going to turn to Mrs. Sean Roderick, our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, members of the Board of Trustees, and community. Tonight it's my pleasure to present for your consideration a generous grant from the Excellence in Education Foundation. This grant is specifically designated for the acquisition of bunk beds for our transformative adventures in hands-on outdoor education, Tahoe Lab, and Outdoor School. The Excellence in Education Foundation is providing a grant totaling $62,725.16 to purchase 200 bunk beds for the new Tahoe Outdoor School facility. The Tahoe Lab and Outdoor School represents an innovative program designed to provide unique and engaging outdoor education experiences to the students of TTUSD. By immersing students in outdoor learning within natural settings, the Outdoor School aims to achieve several key objectives: increase academic achievement, improve social and emotional skills, and a cultivation of deeper appreciation for the natural world. This grant for the bunk beds, made possible by Excellence in Education Foundation's partnership, has already proven to be incredibly valuable. It enabled us to successfully conduct our first prototype overnight experience, demonstrating the practicality and commitment to this project through the use of the mattresses at our overnight camp. We are deeply grateful for the Excellence in Education Foundation's partnership and their support of Tahoe Lab Outdoor School. This grant for bunk beds is a critical step in equipping our facility, ensuring students have a comfortable and positive experience, which will contribute to the program's success. It is the staff's recommendation that the Board of Trustees accepts this generous donations from the Excellence in Education Foundation.
Thank you very much for that description. Any comments or questions on this?
Just that tonight it's over $200,000 from Excellence in Education plus what they are giving or granting to cells. So again, just super humbled. I mean, thank you so much for their support.
I will echo that. It's interesting hearing Amy, who's the new executive director, say that she has not seen such an amazing supportive community and a foundation that supports our community. This is a technicality question. I'm assuming that we got the bunk beds before, we got the mattresses, but not the beds. Was the mattresses part of that same grant?
Mattresses were a separate grant, and
Okay.
then the bunk beds actually arrived 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so the
they're
mattresses that we slept on were from some other grant?
Excellence in Ed, yes, yeah.
Okay, okay. Just checking. I'm like, and that was the only reason I asked, is that we always like to have them before we actually spend it. So that was good. I will make a motion at this point to accept the grant from Excellence in Ed. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, aye. I do have to, and just let public know, Trustee Levac had to step out. So
She's gone for the day.
okay, and then you know that, because we were supposed to do that before. Right, I forgot. I did not know that. 10.3, Superintendent Kramer?
For this item, we turn again to Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to present for your consideration a generous grant of $5,000 from an anonymous donor, facilitated through the Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation. This donation is specifically designated to support the Tahoe Lab Outdoor Education School. This substantial contribution will profoundly support our mission to provide immersive, and engaging learning experiences for our students within the beautiful Tahoe Truckee environment. We are incredibly grateful to this anonymous donor for their commitment to the Tahoe Lab Outdoor School. It is the staff's recommendation that the Board of Trustees accepts this generous donation from the anonymous donor.
Thank you. Mrs. Roderick, any comments? Seeing none, would anyone like to make a motion to accept this grant?
I'll make a motion to accept the grant from the anonymous donor to support the Tahoe Lab.
I'll second.
Thanks, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 10.4, Superintendent Kramer.
More outdoor ed, and we're turning again to Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you. Tonight is my pleasure to present for your consideration a generous donation from Palisades Tahoe. This donation totaling $3,000 is specifically designated to support the Sagehen Outdoor Education Program. The Sagehen Outdoor Education Program is a collaborative initiative representing a strong partnership among TTUSD, the Sagehen Creek Field Research Station, the Sierra Watershed Education Program, and the Shane McConkey Foundation. This program provides our students with a unique standard-based learning environment right in their own backyard. Through this immersive experience, students develop a variety of essential skills and gain valuable knowledge across diverse topics, fostering a deeper connection to their local environment. It is the staff's recommendation that the Board of Trustees accepts this generous donation from Palisades Tahoe.
Thank you for that. Questions or comments? I was just going to ask, do you know who submitted the grant? Do we know who did it? Like, did it come from,
Great question.
sorry.
That's okay. Look at my notes.
I believe Sagehen, the organization itself, submitted the grant. And you'll notice in our personal action that
Okay.
the Sagehen organization person is actually TTUSD, VSA, I believe is in.
Okay, so it was from TTUSD.
Candy Blessy.
Okay, so that, our
She is-
Sagehen
It's a
coordinators.
TTUSD, yeah.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you. Okay. All right, with that, would anyone care to make, thank you for answering, make a motion to accept this grant from Palisades?
I'll make a motion to accept the grant from Palisades Tahoe for Sagehen Outdoor Education Program.
I'll second.
Thanks, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then 10.5, Superintendent Kramer.
This item, we turn to Dr. Cohen.
Okay, thank you. Cindy Maciel, Coordinator of Early Learning Programs, has applied for and received a grant in the amount of $1,500 from the Seroptimus International of Truckee to support early learning end-of-year celebrations and take-home activity kits for our youngest learners, our infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. It is staff's recommendation that the Board of Trustees accept this grant from the Seroptimus International of Truckee in the amount of $1,500.
Thank you very much. Constantly supporting. Here we go. Any comments or questions? I will make a note that there is no public, so we're not asking for public comment at this point. I will make a motion to accept the grant from the Seroptimus International of Truckee for end-of-year and summer support. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And our final grant, 10.6, Superintendent Kramer.
And we'll turn to Dr. Cohen.
Okay, thank you. The Cats Amsterdam Foundation, through the Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation, donated $44,500 to increase access to teen substance use education, resources, and support. This will be used to support access to a substance use navigator the district will be contracting with for the 25-26 school year. It is staff's recommendation the Board of Trustees accept this grant from Cats Amsterdam Foundation provided through the Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation in the amount of $44,500.
Thank you very much. I just mouthed, that's a lot of money. Thank you very much. Any comments? I will make a comment that I like the fact that we are, and I wish Trustee Levack was here, that we are proactive in terms of getting something in place, and we're not reactive in terms of having to deal with some other crazy crises because of. And I think that, that's one of the cool things about our district, that we are trying to be a little bit more ahead of the game in terms of chronic absenteeism and whatnot. But this is that's a huge amount of money, but it's a really great start to protecting what we've got. And I know that things are going to, who knows how things are going, but having this template in place is going to be huge. So I'm very much happy for the proactiveness. Did you apply for this grant?
Kim Bradley, who participates with, our health and wellness community,
Yep.
was able to secure this.
Okay, those are always great things to know, that like how we get it, just because those are the people that are doing all the hard work on the backside. But that's great. Tell her thank you. With that, would anyone care to make a motion for the 10.6 grant?
I'll make a motion to accept the Katz Amsterdam Foundation grant for teen substance use education.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. And at this point, this will close the Todd Unified School District Board meeting, and we will now open a public hearing, and I will turn it over to Superintendent Kramer for this info items.
Yes, so at this time, we'll have Mr. Shepherd speak. We don't have any public present, but he can do a quick recap of the 3 items that are open for public comment during our public hearing.
Thank you. The public hearings for our contract negotiations openers for the 25-26 school year. Before you tonight, we have the openers from TTEA to TTUSD. We have the openers from TTUSD to TTEA, and we have openers from TTUSD to CSEA. And so prior to considering these openers for action, we have to have public comment for a chance for the public to weigh in on these proposals.
So now, I will, with that, since and there's any comments or anything from anyone? Okay, so we're just going to, oh no. There were no comments from any board members, and so at this point, we will close the public hearing, and we will reopen the Tower Truck Unified School District Board meeting, and we'll begin with 12.0 negotiations. Superintendent Kramer.
And again, we'll turn to our Executive Director of Human Resources, Mr. Mike Shepherd.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. President Driller, members of the board. Each year prior to negotiations, a government code requires us to sunshine or bring to light our topics for consideration for negotiations. And for your consideration, we have the articles from TTEA to TTUSD, and in non-successor agreement years, such as this year, we're allowed to open salary, health and welfare benefits, and 2 additional articles. Each side is able to do that. TTA opened Article 3, Association Rights, Article 10, Leaves, Article 12, Health and Welfare Benefits, and Article 13, Wages. And with that, we're recommending acceptance of these articles so that we can begin negotiations as soon as we are able.
Thank you for that, Mr. Shepherd. Any comments from the board on those? This isn't, oh, sorry. No, okay, this is an action item, so if we are in agreement with Article 3, Article 10, Article 12, and Article 13, would someone like to make a motion to approve that?
I would make a motion to approve the sunshine articles you mentioned from TTEA to move forward with negotiations with the district.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 12.2, Superintendent Kramer?
Mr. Shepherd?
Thank you. This item, we're recommending that you approve the articles openers from TTUSD to TTEA. And at this time, we chose to only open Article 12, Health and Welfare Benefits, Article 13, Wages. It could be possible later in the year if we identify an additional article or 2 that we would open. We would just need to come back and sunshine those with you prior to commencing negotiations. But we think we have enough in hand that we won't need to do that. So with that, any questions?
Thank you. Looks like no questions from this diocese here. I'll make a motion to approve 12.2, which are the sunshine articles from TTUSD to TTEA, 12 and 13, to move forward with negotiations with TTEA.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. And then 12.3, Superintendent Kramer.
Mr. Shepherd?
Thank you. For your consideration tonight, we have TTUSD's openers to CSEA, and I will just remark that we are anticipating CSEA openers at the next meeting. We've chosen to open 3 articles. Article 12, leaves, and it's just to correct some outdated language to reflect current law. Article 16, wages, and Article 17, health and welfare benefits. And with that, any questions?
Thank you for that, Mr. Shepherd, and there are no questions, so would anyone care to make a motion for 12.3?
I'll make a motion to approve the sunshine articles from Tahoe Cherokee Unified School District to move forward with negotiations with CSEA.
I'll second.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Marvelous. Moving on to 13.0, are there any items that any board member or staff needs to pull from the consent?
No.
Are there any questions or comments on the consent as presented? Okay, so would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving to 15.0, business services, Superintendent Kramer.
And for this item, we'll turn to our Assistant Superintendent, Chief Business Officer, Mr. Todd Rivera.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, and members of the board. So tonight, we ask that the board consider and approve agreement number 25-00-33M with MCOR Mesa Energy Systems to provide quarterly maintenance on our building automation systems. So several years ago, just as some background, we had contracted with MCOR to install new control systems in all of our major construction projects that we had going on at the time. They also provided regular maintenance for us. So it's been quite a few years since they've reviewed and did maintenance on our automation systems, specifically control systems for our HVAC systems. And things have gotten a little bit out of whack. So they have the expertise to come in, make sure all the components are working properly, that the scheduling is set properly, to bring things back into alignment and also help us produce some new energy savings. And as part of this contract, we're actually asking them to allow our own maintenance personnel to shadow them to learn how so that we can do some of these things in-house on a regular basis. And the amount of the contract is $80,763, and that'll be coming from maintenance funds.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Any comments?
I feel like this is money well spent because our HVAC systems, if they're not finely tuned, I feel like Chris would know this probably better than me, but I feel like just my experience in my own office, we go through rounds and rounds where the buildings are just so, off. And having a company come in and reset everything really does benefit you in the back end. So I think this is great.
Thank you.
I agree. You keep hearing from teachers and students, it's so cold, it's so hot. So this is great. And I'm, at the risk of micromanaging, I'm going to throw an idea out there that if there are any students that are inclined to think about HVAC or trades, that they shadow as well. It's just a thought. But gotta plug the trades, man. Anyway, so yes, that's the only comment I have.
Too funny. Thank you very much. That was good. This is an action item, so would anyone care to make a motion to approve the agreement 25-0033M?
I'll make a motion to approve agreement 25-0033M.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Back to fiscal services B, Superintendent Kramer.
And for this item, we will also turn to Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. So tonight I'm presenting our 2024-2025 annual debt report. So as part of our board policy 3470, which is titled Debt Issuance and Management, annually we're required to report to the board regarding all the debts that the district has issued, also including some other ancillary information about our projected tax rates, our bonding capacity, our current ratings, and any market update and trends that are happening right now. So the first slide really is just showing what we have outstanding as a district as of 6/30/2025. So all of those bonds are different series of issuances for different general obligation bond measures. The first two on the top are actually from our 1999 general obligation bonds for measures C and measure R. And as you'll notice, the maturity date on those are either August 2025 or 2026. So we will be seeing those come off of the tax bill very, very shortly. So that's a celebration that we've paid off those 1999 bonds for the taxpayers. 2012 and 13 GO refunding bonds are related to the 2002 Measure J issuances that were used to reconstruct North Tahoe. Those have a few more years left on them. And the refunding is just a refinancing. So we had issued debt as Measure J general obligation bonds and later had an opportunity to save taxpayer money. So we refunded those or refinanced those. And then the remaining are all of our 2014 Measure U and Measure C. Measure U and Measure E. So those will remain on the tax bills for quite a number more years here. We have a total of 2016 million dollars, a little bit over, of what we've issued since those 1999 general obligation bonds, and we've paid off quite an amount of principal on there, with a current principal outstanding of $144,596,424. In addition, we do have some district-owned debt, non-taxpayer debt, certificates of participation that we issued to complete our bond program in 2019. We originally issued $40 million. We did pay a large chunk off of that with some early retirement provisions that we had built into those COPs. So now our principal outstanding is $22,165,000.
I just can't imagine what's in your brain. Just can't.
So looking at our tax rates, so the tax rates on general obligation bonds are essentially what people are charged on their tax bill based on their assessed value of their home. So we always look at the tax rate based on $100,000 of assessed value. And when we went to voters, there's always an estimate of what our tax rates will be with that particular general obligation bond measure. So when we originally went out with Measure U, we had promised voters that we would not exceed a tax rate of $48.25 per $100,000 assessed value. And Measure E, we promised voters that we would not exceed $29.75 per $100,000 of assessed value. So looking at these are combined debt. So this includes not only the Measure U and E debt, but also the prior debt from Measures C and Measure J as well, and Measure R. So looking at that, the current rate in what we call SFID number 2, which is the Truckee area, is $29.92. So, including the fact that we already are including other debt from prior to 2014, we are well below what we promised voters. SFID number 2, which is the Lake area School Facilities Improvement District, we're at $29.58 per assessed value. And again, if we were to take out some of the previous debt prior to Measure E, it would be a lot less than $29.58. So we're already below that, what we promised voters, even with the other debt included. So that's a good sign. That means that we've had good assessed value growth, and we're keeping with what we promised. So looking at the projected tax rates moving forward with debt service, some of the assumptions they build in, our financial advisor builds in the assumptions of our assessed value growth. So you'll see they use 3.25%, so they're conservative as well, just making sure that we can maintain those rates that we promised. They assume a 4% unsecured tax delinquency and then no supplemental tax collections. So looking at SFID number 2, you'll see that we stay well below the $40 per $100,000 of assessed value, quite a bit under that actually until about 2034, and then we drop down to about $20 per $100,000 assessed value until 2040, and then we're seeing very nominal tax rate amounts. So when we hit 2040, as long as we haven't issued an additional debt, that'll be probably $1 or $2 per $100,000 of assessed value. It's going to be very small on the tax bill. Looking at SFID number 2, you'll see that we have a little bit of a spike, and I'm assuming that's because we're paying off some of that old debt in 2026. And then it kind of maintains for quite a few years at under that $40 mark, probably about 35 to 38. And then in 2031, you'll see it start dropping down to the 20s. And then finally in 2042, it starts going below $10 per $100,000 of assessed value. So looking at our bonding capacity is essentially how much the district can issue in debt. And that's a combination of all debt, general obligation bonds, and certificates of participation. And for a unified school district, it's based as a percentage of your assessed value within your district. So in 2024-25, the assessed value in the district is just under $33.6 billion. And of that, our capacity is 2.5% of that amount. So our total bonding capacity for the district is just under $840 million. And then you subtract out the outstanding debt we have, and we're left with what's available for our bonding capacity. So we potentially could issue as much as $695 million in debt. $695 million in debt. Oops. So looking at our credit ratings, we've always maintained very high credit ratings for a K-12 school district. We're always at the top. The prime category is kind of really, really hard to achieve. We're in the high grade with our ratings of AA1 from Moody's and AA from Standard & Poor's. Standard & Poor's is always usually a notch lower in the way they do their evaluations. And then our certificates of participation, which are rated separately from our general obligation bonds, are AA-. And that's very common with COPs because that debt is actually secured by the district general fund, not the taxpayers. So the market update on municipal bonds, which are what general obligation bonds are, is they've really fluctuated over the last few years. When we issued our certificates of participation in 2019, rates were in the 2% to 2.5% range. And since then, they kind of mellowed out for a while, but then since 2022, they've really started to escalate and fluctuate back and forth. Right now, municipal bonds are at about the 5 to 5.5% rate, which makes borrowing for a district much more expensive. And if you're doing general obligation bonds, that means you might generate less in proceeds. So refunding opportunities, our financial advisor is always looking for opportunities where we could refinance the district debt and potentially provide savings to taxpayers. With the current interest rates as they are, there's no good opportunities for that, but we'll continue to look.
That you guys have done a fantastic job, you and Keegan as well, but you've always managed to do well paying some of those off, and that's a good wand waiver.
Thank you. So this is just some information on different ballot measures that have come to play in November 2024, just showing I guess, the likelihood of taxpayers and how they vote. So in 2024, voters approved 24 of 26 requested parcel taxes that were on the ballot, which is a good sign of that there's a palate from our taxpayers on approving those types of taxes. Hopefully that continues when we have Measure A. And then looking at our GO bonds that were approved in the state of California, 205 of 267 general obligation bond measures that were on the ballot passed. So that's also kind of an indicator of how voters are looking at these different types of measures. So one of the things that's kind of in the pipeline right now is, and this was, I think, with the prior Trump administration, where they were looking at the possibility of eliminating tax exemption status on municipal bonds. So this would impact not only school districts, but all public agencies that issue debt. So currently, we haven't really heard any new updates on this. However, if this did pass and they took away that tax exemption, that would be detrimental to the issuance of debt for public agencies. So we're really hoping they see things differently and continue on to allow that tax exemption status. So if they remove that, that would be much higher borrowing costs for districts when they issue general obligation bonds. And I think it would be harmful just in general. Looking at this is kind of related. Assembly Bill 367, which is best value procurement. There's currently a Assembly bill out there that is allowing Los Angeles Unified to kind of pilot this procurement method for projects where projects that are over $1 million, they're allowed to do more of on a qualitative selection process instead of a competitive bid process. So there's certain criteria and standards and scoring that you have to do when selecting these contractors. And this is also very similar to what we're currently allowed to do under the leaseback provisions and delivery methods that we've exercised quite a few times as a district. But what they want to do after that, the pilot expires, is extend this to all school districts to be able to do this best value procurement, which would be a very good thing. Sometimes the lowest bidder isn't the best bidder, so this gives us an opportunity to get ahead and really qualify people that want to do our projects and making sure that we get the best value for the money and we can negotiate what some of those costs are. And these are just our compliance requirements. So just things that we need to do in the district, maintaining records, seeking expert advice for things like arbitrage, rebate, and yield restriction provisions, which I won't go too much into, but that's when you issue general obligation bonds, you have a certain timeline to expend that money, and if you don't spend that money within that timeline, then you owe the IRS interest earnings back on money that you would, cash that you would have been holding on to. So, any questions on this at all? I didn't want to read through the whole list, but.
There it is. I'm like, where's the slide? You guys good?
Yeah. I mean, every year when you present this is like, oh my gosh, so out of my wheelhouse, but I appreciate you explaining it through, because reading it in the homework is very different than having you talk. I'm going to speak for myself, talk me through it. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Rivera. That was an info-only item. Again, it definitely is thorough. Thank you. And again, I do wonder what's in that brain, how you keep it all together. Moving to 16.0, this was the corrected item. Superintendent Kramer?
Yes, for this item, we'll turn to Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you. This evening, I present for your consideration the approval of the 2025-2026 consolidated application. The Tahoe Truckee Unified School District is required to review and receive approval from the Board of Education for the application for funding selection on the Consolidated Application and Reporting System, which we refer to as CARS. CARS is the online platform that TTUSD uses to apply for and manage significant portions of our federal and state categorical program funds. The funds we secure through the consolidated application are instrumental in supporting a diverse array of programs that directly impact student achievement and well-being. Specifically, these funds enable us to provide academic interventions, which involve offering targeted assistance to students who require extra support in reading, math, and other core subjects. They also enable us to enhance professional development, ensuring our teachers and staff have access to the latest instructional strategies and best practices. These funds are crucial for supporting programs designed for our disadvantaged students, offering equitable access to resources and opportunities for our most vulnerable student populations. A significant portion of this funding supports programs for our English learners, providing specialized instruction and support. The development of the CONAP is a collaborative effort involving business services, educational services, and student services. Through instructional leadership meetings, we analyze student needs, program effectiveness, compliance requirements to ensure the funds are allocated strategically, maximizing student outcomes. It is the staff's recommendation the Board of Trustees approve the 2025-2026 consolidated application.
Thank you for that update. Any comments from the board? This is an action item, and would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consolidated application and reporting system for 25-26.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving to personnel 17.0. Thank you.
Yes, and for these items, we'll turn to Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. This is an MOU number 11 with CSEA. It was actually reached agreement in June, which is why it's MOU 11, and we just didn't make it to the board meeting in time. And this is a new job description, educational interpreter, ASL, or American Sign Language. In this position, this employee will support our deaf and hard of hearing students. And so we're pleased to work with CSEA to come to this agreement. And with that, any questions?
No, we like having other additional languages. Any comments or questions from the board? So this, we have a new job description, and then does this mean that we have, we'll hire, I just looking for, it's not in the personnel report of hiring any. Did we hire somebody for this, or are we just creating a job description in anticipation of?
We are actively recruiting for this position, correct?
Perfect, okay.
Yes.
That's awesome. This is an info and action. Would anyone care to make a motion for this new job description?
I'll make a motion to approve MOU number 11.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for that. That's going to be fun. 17.2, Superintendent Kramer.
Mr. Shepherd?
Thank you. And MOU 12 with CSEA we brought back the warehouse operations specialist job description, made some improvements, and we worked with CSEA to reclassify our warehouse person to become, it's a higher range position, more responsibility. So we're very pleased that this went to an incumbent, hardworking employee, and that CSEA was very open and willing to work with us. So with that, any questions?
Seeing none. I will want to just indicate that I think I made a comment to Superintendent Kramer that creating a pathway for our employees is one of the things we talked about, trying to obviously keep them in with us, but having them have a goal to reach up higher or to get improvements, I think is something that shows we're committed to our staff, but that also wanted to make them improve, and I'm glad that CSEA was on board. With that, I will make a motion to approve 17.2, the MOU number 12. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. 17.3, Superintendent Kramer.
Mr. Shepherd?
Thank you. This is really a ratification because you've already approved this, but as you know, last year we settled with management for 3.46% salary increase. And then now you're approving applying that raise to Superintendent Kramer as a part of her contract, and your own board processes. We're required by Ed Code to verbally read out the changes. And so this is retroactive to July 1 of '24. So based on the changes, the superintendent's salary will increase for '24-25 to $261,056. And because of a natural step progression per contract and board guidelines, this year she will be earning $268,491. And with that, any questions?
Thank you. There, again, reminding this that there's no public. And would anyone like to make a motion to approve the revisions to Superintendent Chief Learning Officer salary schedule?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed revisions to the Superintendent Chief Learning Officer salary schedule.
Sorry.
Since you just said it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Moving to 18.0, I will note that there are no CSEA or TTEA members in the audience. Did they say anything that they wanted us to report out?
Nope, they worked on their sunshine articles.
Perfect.
And they're all on a well-deserved vacation right now.
And their sunshine.
Yep.
Perfect. Move it back to 19.0, first reads.
And for these items, we'll be turning to Dr. Cohen.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm presenting the first read of proposed revision to Board Policy and AR 5113.1, chronic absence and truancy. The proposed revisions aim to ensure students identified as chronically absent or truant receive early support. The updates incorporate strategies from the California Department of Education for encouraging attendance and reflect new laws effective July 1, 2025, which authorize attendance recovery programs for TK through 12 students. Additionally, the regulation is updated to reflect new law regarding truancy and parent and guardian notification, and to remove repealed language concerning delayed driving privileges. This is a first read and will be brought back for approval at the next board meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen. Any comments for this one? Apropos that we're doing this right now with all of your presentations, so I'm very happy to see. This is info, and I will bring that back to consent next board meeting in August. 12.9, or no, sorry, 19.2.
Dr. Cohen.
Thank you. This is a first read of proposed revision to Board Policy and AR 5148, Child Care and Development. This policy was updated to remove the distance learning requirements for child care programs closed by public health orders. The new law requires submitting an incidental medical services plan to CDSS, but allows enrollments before approval and permits children with disabilities to attend prior to plan approval if submitted. The policy also prohibits expelling or unenrolling children based on behavior and mandates disenrollment from subsidized care due to state reimbursement reductions. The regulation updates requires family language and interest interviews for dual language learners, but prohibits compelling participation. Duplicative enrollment priority information was deleted, and extends CalWORK's family eligibility to at least 24 months. This is a first read and will be brought back for approval at the next board meeting.
Thank you for that. Any comments? Very busy. Thank you very much for that. We will bring this back to consent. And 19.3. Wasn't even on, sorry. Thank you for that. We'll bring it back to consent. Moving to 19.3.
Okay, thank you. This is a first read of proposed revision to Board Policy and AR 5148.3, preschool early childhood education. This policy and regulation have been updated to reflect new laws authorizing California state preschool programs to enroll 2-year-olds until July 1st, 2027, and it definitely extends the 5% CSPP enrollment reservation for children with exceptional needs. It further expands eligibility for 2-year-olds in general and requires districts to use classroom assessment scoring systems, CLASS tools, for commingled CSPP and transitional kindergarten students. Additional updates clarify California residency evidence, prohibit expulsion based on behavior, and require disenrollment due to reduced state reimbursements. Both the California Department of Education monitoring instrument requirements for excused absences was reorganized for clarity and to group related content with outdated information and was removed from the regulation. This is a first read and will be brought back for approval at the next board meeting.
Okay, 2 years old. Are they walking at 2?
At 2, yes.
Okay, just checking. Most, I'm only joking, but that just seems like 2 years is, that's young.
We serve our littlest learners here.
Yes. Okay, that is impressive. Any questions or comments besides mine? Okay, we'll bring that back. 19.4.
Okay. This is the first read of proposed revision to Board Policy and AR 5125, student records. This policy updates and reflects new laws and revised California Attorney General guidance impacting student record policies. Districts must now provide documentation for student record deletion requests for students unenrolled for 60 or more days. It broadens the disclosure prohibitions related to immigration enforcement and develops protocols for complying with court restraining orders. New requirements include ensuring data confidentiality, including AI risks, providing cybersecurity training, and reporting large-scale cyber attacks. High schools must also enter data sharing agreements with the California College Guidance Initiative and notify parents. Regulations also clarify emergency information release and require foster youth liaisons to obtain records promptly. This is a first read and will be brought back for approval at the next board meeting.
Comments? I will say that, or my question for you would be, this is, and I keep throwing AI under tech. Is tech involved in this? Only because of student records, there is AI, but no, there's no tech involved in making sure that our AI stuff, that we don't have any, I don't know, I'm just saying that when you, yeah, like when student records are involved, and you just say that AI is out there, I just keep thinking that our tech department needs to be on that AI. Are they involved in the regulation of this student records as well? Is that something that they run that through? Again, articulate what I'm trying to say, please, will you?
While Student Services updates the board policy, the policy itself is implemented by Educational Services, Technology Services.
Okay.
So it's district-wide, and it's a combined and collaborative effort to put these policies actually in play within the district.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess then maybe with all that, and I guess this is just while we're doing first reads, I wonder if I could just throw out the fact that we should probably get some more AI policies. I was just saying that we always want to try to be a little bit more forefronted with our decisions. If there's a way we can get more discussion of board policies with AI and tech and.
Well, in good news, as you know, there's a work group that Trustee Hennessy is a part of, and we have an AI presentation scheduled for our September 3rd board meeting.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll have policy ideas and considerations.
Okay, I just didn't know who I was supposed to reprimand, but I'll reprimand Hennessy. That's good to know. I'll be on that. I'll keep saying stuff. Okay, that's great. Thank you. We'll bring that back for consent, and we look forward to that September 3rd update. Moving to 20.0, board business. Danielle.
I don't have anything. It's summer. Hopefully
Lovely
everyone's having a good
news.
summer.
Enjoy. Chris.
I also don't have any updates, but I have taken a few notes on different topics that I'm probably going to forward to you, and then you can see if they're important enough to passed down. And just, I wanted to acknowledge the email that we got over the summer about the new fiscal director, and I wanted to welcome her officially, and congrats to your team, because I know Miss Angie needs her retirement. Thank you, that's all.
Too fun. Yeah, we definitely loved hearing that, Todd. And I was fortunate enough, 2 days ago, to go with Superintendent Kramer to Kings Beach Elementary and go to the AIM High Open House, which, and actually, and Sean Roderick was there as well, but awesome, amazing. The campus was full. So they had some TK people that were bridging kids were there, as well as Boys and Girls Club in the other playground. And then AIM High went from, I want to say, what did they say, 112 to 1? Yeah, so they were under 100, now they're 112. But just amazing, always great to see. They were phenomenal. And the kids that were teaching were great. The kids that were there receiving were great. It's just really, really fortunate that we are able to have it here. And I have done nothing else. I've been mountain biking with our middle schoolers. Thank you. We are 7:51. Board, we're done.